Islands. And I would like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Khemais Jhinaoui, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Tunisia, and give him the floor. You have the floor, sir. Mr. President, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to extend our sincere congratulations to Mr. Tijani Mohamed Bandi and through him to brotherly Nigeria on the confidence they have commanded in their presidency of the current session of the General Assembly, and wishing him every success in his task. I would also like to express our utmost appreciation and gratitude to Ms. Maria Fernanda Espinosa Garces for her outstanding conduct of the work of the 73rd session. I would not fail to express to His Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, our utmost appreciation for his efforts in the service of the principles and objectives of our organization and upholding its noble and lofty ideals, and express our support to his various initiatives and reforms. I would also like to express our thanks and gratitude to the Secretary General and the Member States for their kind jest on the 1st of August 2019 in holding a meeting of the General Assembly in memory of our late President Al-Baji Qad Sibsi, the first democratically elected President of our Republic. He was indeed a great statesman, and with his wisdom and foresight, as well as his vast political experience, led the democratic transformation in Tunisia based on dialogue and consensus, and with the utmost respect to rights and fundamental freedoms of all Tunisians. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, since 2011, Tunisia has taken a democratic and irreversible democratic path based on the 2014 Constitution. It was based on the rule of law, state institutions, and support for collective and individual rights and freedoms in all fields. Our nascent experience has proven in the past few years, and in spite of the difficulties and challenges we faced, a great and smooth transformation of authority in the wake of the passing of our late president, and with utmost respect of constitutional measures. In the same context, and on the 15th of September 2019, we have been able to organize the presidential elections in the first round under the auspices of the Independent Electoral Commission and in the presence of international observers from various international organizations who have all attested to its transparency and integrity. We are preparing for the second round of the electoral activities, as well as for the legislative elections on the 6th of October 2019, and we look forward to the same levels of transparency and integrity, thus proving that our democratic path has become indeed irreversible. We hope that those elections will also result in significant representation of women and youth, a national choice reflecting the maturity and development of the Tunisian society, and reaffirming the importance of these two groups in running public affairs and in decision-making. Ladies and gentlemen, the holding of this session on promoting efforts to eliminate poverty and provide high-quality education, fighting climate change, and promoting inclusion reflects our firm belief in the importance of the work of multilateral mechanisms, particularly and foremost of which the United Nations organizations, which represents the ideal forum to realize our aspirations to peace, sustainable development, and prosperity for all. Those priorities will have the utmost attention on our part in the coming years. The gravity of developmental, social, and environmental challenges reaffirm the need for further collective work and mobilization of efforts based on solidarity with a view to putting an end to poverty, marginalization, and to achieve social integration and the enabling of women, as well as provide better education and fight climate change. Member states of the United Nations have borne this collective responsibility through their adoption of the 2030 Agenda as a common framework to face the current challenges and secure the basic rights of our peoples and their aspirations to safe, prosperous, and sustainable societies. Tunisia has adopted all these noble objectives and has included them in its 5-year development plan 2016-2020 and has presented its first VNR on the implementation of sustainable development before the high-level political forum last July. Ladies and gentlemen, keen on realizing economic transformation and social changes with a view to protecting the democratic march of our country, we have continued to implement our great structural reform program, and we have been able to achieve many positive results in development ratios, attracting internal and external investment, promoting the tourism sector, in spite of the difficulties we have faced and the regional instability that we have experienced. My country relies mainly on its potential and abilities and seeks, through facing those challenges, to elaborate and develop partnerships with its friends and partners in the service of mutual interests and in a manner that contributes to peace and security internationally and regionally. In view of the special importance we attach to the African dimension of our foreign policy, we reiterate our commitment to develop our cooperation and partnership within our African zone and to achieve further African economic integration under the African Union and its Agenda for Development 2063. We also renew our call to the international community to continue to provide the necessary support and investment, and thus enabling Africa to use its full potential, opening new horizons before the African youth and enabling it to become an active contributor to prosperity, as well as protecting it from falling victim to terrorism and illegal immigration. Ladies and gentlemen, violent extremism and terrorism have been on the rise around the world. They take advantage of tension and crises. They threaten the peace and stability of countries and the societies of our countries. The efforts we have deployed so far at both national, regional, and international levels in fighting terrorism have been successful. However, terrorist entities have proven their ability to reconstitute and reposition themselves, taking advantage of conflicts and smuggling networks in some hotbeds of tension. This requires further mobilization of our efforts and coordination to put an end to these terrorist activities and remove them completely from our societies via our serious work and our support to countries in the front lines of fighting this scourge. We would also like to reiterate that fighting terrorism requires to stand to extremist ideologies and protect societies, particularly the youth, from the narrative of those terrorist organizations. In our national policies, we have come a long way in fighting terrorism and violent extremism, and that has enabled us to achieve great successes in fighting this dangerous phenomenon, foiling terrorist plans, and protecting democracy, peace, and security. Ladies and gentlemen, our Arab region continues to witness unprecedented instability due to the continued conflicts and tension, as well as the threats and dangers that undermine peace and security internationally and regionally. They also require our utmost attention, particularly in brotherly Libya, that has witnessed extremely serious developments that have culminated in military confrontation, thus increasing the suffering of our brotherly Libyan people and threatening peace and security not only in Libya but in the entire region. Proceeding from the special historic ties between the brotherly peoples of Tunisia and Libya, and based on our spirit of responsibility and duty towards that brotherly country, we renew our call to our Libyan brothers to put an immediate end to hostilities and military operations and to return to the political path under the auspices of the United Nations. We would also like to renew our commitment to do our utmost within the initiative by the late President Al-Baji Qaid al-Sibsi in coordination with Algeria, Egypt, and the international community to support our Libyan brothers to overcome the current crisis through dialogue, consensus, and the precedence of their national interests with a view to achieving a comprehensive political settlement. Ladies and gentlemen, the Palestinian issue that has been long overdue remains in the forefront of international crises, and we believe that a just settlement of this issue would serve peace and security in the region. Proceeding from this, we have hosted the 30th Arab Summit in March 2019 and have placed great importance on this very urgent issue. We believe that a comprehensive and just settlement of the Palestinian cause has been long overdue, and we should enable the Palestinian people to restore its legitimate rights, establish its own independent state within the June 4th, 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital, and based on international legitimacy, the Arab Peace Initiative, and the principle of the two-state solution. We would also to renew our call to the international community to bear responsibility towards the Palestinian people and to preserve the historic and legal status of Jerusalem and other occupied Palestinian territories. Furthermore, we would like to call for the redoubling of international and regional efforts to achieve political settlement of the crisis in Syria, preserving the sovereignty and integrity of that brotherly country and putting an end to the suffering of its people and realizing its aspirations to life in peace and stability. We welcome, in this regard, the establishment of the Constitutional Commission, which we believe would give hope to putting an end to this conflict, achieve a political settlement in accordance with Security Council Resolution 2254 of 2015. We also hope that the international community will be able to help our brothers in Yemen to achieve a political settlement that would preserve the integrity of that country, protect its sovereignty, and put an end to the suffering of its people, thus contributing to the peace and stability of the Arab Gulf region. As for Sudan, we welcome the announcement of the agreement achieved between the Transitional Military Council and the forces of the Freedom and Change Declaration, and we believe that this is an extremely important positive step in this brotherly country that would enable it to preserve its peace and stability, as well as its territorial integrity, and help its people achieve its aspirations to democracy, development, and peace. We call for the lifting of the sanctions imposed against Sudan, since we believe this will contribute to the transformation of that country into democracy, economic and social development. Ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing to join the Security Council of the United Nations on the 1st of January 2020 as a non-permanent member for the fourth time in our history. We believe this is an extremely important task in which we hope we will receive the utmost help and support by all our friends and partners. My country, as a peace-loving nation that upholds international legitimacy, will focus on preventive diplomacy in the settlement of disputes by peaceful means, and to positively contribute in collective efforts to preserve international peace and security, and promote the role of women and youth in this regard. Tunisia will do its utmost in the service of dialogue, trust, and rapprochement with a view to reaching political settlements of the conflicts in both regions, Arab and African, in accordance with the United Nations Charter and the tenets of international legitimacy. Through our membership in the Security Council, we will make further efforts to support United Nations peacekeeping missions and make them more commensurate and appropriate for the tasks at hand. And we will also enhance our participation in those operations. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, in conclusion, we would like to reiterate our intention to continue to work and coordinate with all friendly countries and peoples with a view to serving the lofty objectives of the United Nations and upholding its lofty ideals. Thank you for your attention.
I thank the Foreign Minister of Tunisia for his statement.